Right now, at this very moment, there's a door standing between you and everything you've been praying for. And I need you to understand something crucial. That door is about to open. But if you don't recognize it when it appears, you'll walk right past it, just like you've done before. Stay with me. I've spent the last decade studying the spiritual principles of breakthrough, and I've discovered something that changed everything for me. The legendary pastor David Yonggi Cho, who built the largest church in history through prayer and faith, taught a principle that most people completely misunderstand. See, we've been conditioned to believe that waiting means doing nothing, that closed doors stay closed until some mysterious force decides to open them. But what I'm about to share with you will completely transform how you recognize divine timing and position doors. This isn't theory. This is the exact framework that has helped thousands finally step through the opportunities they've been overlooking their entire lives. Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you said, "I'm waiting for God to open the door"? How many months or maybe even years have you spent in that waiting room of life, watching everyone else walk through their breakthrough while you remain stuck? Here's what happens to most people. They pray, they believe, they declare, and then they sit down and literally wait for some dramatic, unmistakable sign. They expect the door to swing wide open with angels singing and a neon sign that says, "This is it." But here's the devastating truth that nobody's telling you. While you're waiting for the obvious door, you're ignoring the available door. The conventional approach teaches us that closed doors mean not yet, and open doors will be obvious. So we develop what I call breakthrough blindness. We become so fixated on what we think the door should look like that we can't see the door that's actually there. Think about it. How many opportunities have you dismissed because they didn't look big enough? How many divine appointments did you miss because the person didn't seem important enough? How many open doors did you walk past because they required you to push them open instead of them magically opening for you? David Yonggi Cho discovered this pattern in his own life. Before building the world's largest congregation, he was a dying teenager on a mat, waiting for a miracle. The door he was waiting for wasn't what finally changed everything. It was recognizing the door already standing open, the one he'd been ignoring because it looked too simple, too available, too ordinary. So here's the paradigm shift that changes everything. The door you've been waiting for isn't waiting to open. It's waiting for you to recognize it. Let me break this down because this is where most spiritual teaching gets it completely wrong. When Pastor Cho taught about the fourth dimension, he wasn't talking about some mystical realm separate from reality. He was talking about the dimension of spiritual perception, the ability to see what's already there but invisible to natural eyes. And this is critical. Closed doors and open doors often look identical until you change your perception. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a dark hallway with multiple doors. You've been taught that open doors have light streaming from underneath them and closed doors are dark. So you're waiting for the light. But what if I told you that some of the most important doors in your life don't have light streaming from them? Not because they're closed, but because what's on the other side hasn't been illuminated yet. It's waiting for your light to enter and activate it. This is what Cho called incubating your future. You don't wait for the fully formed blessing. You recognize the seed of opportunity and you step through the door while it looks like nothing. Here's the principle. Divine doors open in stages, not all at once. The first stage is recognition. You must develop eyes to see doors that don't announce themselves. These doors often come disguised as a random conversation that feels coincidental, an uncomfortable challenge that requires you to grow, an invitation that seems beneath your current level, a person who appears ordinary but carries your next assignment, or a quiet inner knowing that contradicts your circumstances. The second stage is response. Once you recognize the door, you must move toward it. This is where most people fail. They recognize the opportunity, but then wait for more confirmation, more comfort, more resources. But here's what Cho discovered. The door fully opens after you begin walking toward it, not before. Think about the story of Peter walking on water. The water didn't solidify before he stepped out of the boat. It held him as he stepped. The door didn't reveal its full promise until he responded to what looked impossible. This is the shift. You're not waiting for doors to open. You're discerning which doors are already unlocked and then having the courage to turn the handle. All right. Let me give you the exact 3-step framework that will help you recognize and walk through the door that's been waiting for you. Step 1. The prayer of perception. Every morning for the next 7 days, I want you to pray a specific prayer. Not the prayer you've been praying for circumstances to change, but this: open my eyes to see the doors you've already opened. Give me courage to walk toward what I've been overlooking. Here's why this works. Your current perception is shaped by disappointment and expectation. You're looking for what you hope to see, which blinds you to what's actually there. This prayer recalibrates your spiritual vision. Pastor Cho would spend hours in what he called imaginative prayer, not imagining things that don't exist, but asking God to help him see reality from heaven's perspective. When you pray for perception, you're asking to see your life the way God sees it, full of already available opportunities you've been trained to ignore. Practically, here's what happens. You'll start noticing patterns. Conversations that keep coming up, names that keep appearing, invitations you've been declining, dreams that keep returning. These are the clues to your available door. Step 2. The action of investigation. Once you begin noticing these patterns, your job is to investigate them, not with skepticism, but with holy curiosity. Let me give you an example. Maybe there's a person who's reached out to you 3 times in the past month, and you've ignored them because they don't seem significant. That's a door. Your investigation looks like this. Respond to that person. Have the conversation. Ask questions. Divine doors rarely announce themselves. They reveal themselves through engagement. Or maybe there's a skill you keep thinking about learning, but you've dismissed it as not relevant to your calling. That's a door. Your investigation means take one small step toward learning that skill. Watch what unfolds. Cho tells the story of how he started his ministry. Nobody invited him. No organization opened a door. He simply noticed that his neighborhood had no church. And instead of waiting for someone to commission him, he investigated that observation. He knocked on doors. He talked to people. He took action on what he noticed. The breakthrough came through investigation, not waiting. Here's what you need to do this week. Make a list of 3 things you've been noticing repeatedly in the last 30 days. It could be a conversation topic, a person's name, an opportunity, a dream, or an inner prompting. Then commit to investigating one of them within the next 48 hours. Send the email, make the phone call, research the opportunity. Take one concrete action toward it. Step 3, the walk of faith. This is the most important step, and it's where most people stop short. Once you've recognized a possible door and investigated it, you must walk through it, even when it still looks unclear. Here's what this looks like practically. Let's say through your perception, prayer, and investigation, you've identified that the door is a career transition. You don't have all the details, you don't have all the resources, the door doesn't look fully open. Walk through it anyway, submit the application, have the conversation, make the investment, take the class, send the email. Because here's what happens. Doors finish opening as you walk through them, not before you arrive at them. The full provision, the full clarity, the full confirmation, these come on the other side of obedience, not before it. Cho built a church of over 800,000 members by walking through doors that looked like nothing. Home meetings with 5 people, prayer gatherings at 4 a.m., with a handful of believers. He didn't wait for the door to look like a mega church. He walked through the door that looked like faithfulness with little, and God transformed it into much. Your door might look small right now. It might look insignificant. It might require sacrifice or discomfort. But I'm telling you, the transformation happens when you walk through, not when you wait outside analyzing whether it's the right door. Now, once you've begun practicing this framework, here are some advanced insights that will take you deeper. First, start keeping a door journal. Write down every opportunity, conversation, or prompting you notice, no matter how small. Over time, you'll see patterns that reveal God's specific strategy for your life. Second, practice what I call low-stakes obedience daily. This means acting on small promptings immediately. Send that text, make that call, give that compliment. This trains your spiritual reflexes, so when the big door appears, you're already conditioned to move quickly. Third, give yourself a 72-hour decision window on opportunities. If something is clearly aligned with your values and calling, move toward it within 3 days. Overthinking is often fear disguised as wisdom. These practices will compound. Each door you walk through makes the next door easier to recognize. Now let me address the obstacles you're going to face, because they're real and I want you to be prepared. Obstacle 1, what if I'm wrong? Here's the truth. You might be wrong about a specific door, but you'll never know unless you investigate. And even wrong doors teach you what the right door looks like. Discernment is built through practice, not perfection. Obstacle 2, I don't feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. The door opens precisely when you're qualified by faith, not when you're comfortable with capability. Your readiness comes as you walk, not before. Obstacle 3, what will people think? The people who judge your obedience are usually stuck in their own waiting rooms. You're not living for their approval. You're living for divine assignment. Timeline for results. Some doors open immediately. Others take weeks or months to fully reveal themselves. But here's what I can promise. Within 30 days of practicing this framework, you'll start seeing opportunities you've been blind to for years. Trust the process. Trust your perception. And trust that God is already working. So here's what we've covered today. The door you've been waiting for isn't locked. It's hidden in plain sight. Your job isn't to wait for it to announce itself. Your job is to develop the perception to recognize it, the courage to investigate it, and the faith to walk through it. Remember the 3 steps. Pray for perception every morning for 7 days. Investigate the patterns you've been noticing. And walk through the door even when it still looks unclear. This week your life can change. Not because circumstances magically shift, but because you shift. Your perception, your response, your willingness. If this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel, because I'm committed to helping you build the spiritual perception that transforms waiting into walking. Hit that like button if you're ready to stop waiting and start recognizing. And drop a comment telling me, what door have you been overlooking that you're now ready to investigate? The door is there. It's been there all along. And now it's your move. See you in the next video.